Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from November 15th until November 22nd as we move through the last week of Scorpio season. And the energies are really ramping up and accelerating us forward because we have strong Mars energy over this next week, plus a lot of beautiful energy, in fact, as the sun continues through Scorpio. So we'll be discussing these energies and more in today's show, as I hope this information supports you and what you might be moving through at this time. If you are new to this podcast, I discuss astrological topics, energies, and themes through the lens of consciousness, our spiritual growth, and intuitive messages. I've been studying and practicing astrology for over 30 years, and I have found it to be a very beneficial and valid understanding of what we move through in our lives. And I certainly hope that that's what you get from this information as well. Now, we had a quite invigorating Scorpio new moon on November 13th. And that, of course, followed the very active energies of October, where we had eclipse seasons and a lot going on. And just to perhaps validate anything that you're feeling, it's understandable if you are exhausted, worn out, feeling like you've had to keep your head above water during these big energies. But also make sure that you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of what you need to do, because what we are moving into does feel like a faster moving flow, a faster moving river. And over this next week, with a lot of Mars energy happening, Mars is where we decide we want to go for it. We want to make moves, we want to move ahead, and we're aware of what we want to obtain or what we desire. And so Mars working with the sun in Scorpio could be giving you a focal point of energy. There could be something that you are dedicated to or you're focusing in on that really matters to you. You want to move it forward. You want something to happen. You could certainly be feeling this physically, as Mars is the body. This is also strong, passionate energy to make progress on things that you didn't have time or energy for previously. Now, before I go into more of the specifics of this week, I do want to highlight that this last week of Scorpio season is where we become clearer in what needs to die or transform in order to be in alignment with your frequency, what you want, and who you are now. Scorpio season brings up the fears. It brings up what we can face with more trust in ourselves, where we're ready to power up and step into the unknown of what's on the other side, the unknown that comes up through the transformation process. Because when you're moving through some type of metamorphosis, you don't know what's on the other side. So there is some big questions that happen with Scorpio energies. And because this is a time of looking at what you no longer need, it could be clearer to you this week what you've just let go of, what you are no longer resonating with, what you've cleared out. And with the strong Mars, you could even feel like you've accelerated past some things. You could have validation from the universe that you're not energetically or emotionally connected to something that previously, maybe it was a big deal for you. Maybe it was something profound or significant. And then during the Scorpio journey, you realize what you don't need or what you don't want, and you're able to set it free. And one healthy way to set something free with Scorpio season is to recognize how you grew, to have gratitude for the experience, to understand what you needed to see in order to make some deep shifts. And because that Scorpio energy runs deep, it can certainly bring up the deeper patterns that have been controlling you behind the scenes. And I mean that in regards to the unconscious, how our unconscious fears can be operating in the background and we don't see them, and we certainly don't always challenge them when we don't even know that they're there. but there could be something that has been illuminated for you that now it's like clear as day, right? You're like, wow, I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not involved in that. I'm not connected to that. I'm so glad I don't have to interact with that person. I'm so glad that phase of my life is over. There could be things that come up that Scorpio season actually supports your empowerment around what you've moved away from and what you've completed. And I feel too that one of the ways that Scorpio season beautifully blesses us is that we really tap into more of our truth and our authenticity. And it's less about others and more about fortifying what is best for you, what sustains you, what supports you, what is in energetic alignment. And you could also tap into the blessings of something not happening, right? Of being like, I'm so glad I didn't go down that path. I'm so glad I dodged that bullet. I'm so glad I didn't get caught up in that mess or in that job that I thought I had to take. Like there can be this really interesting switch in perspective where what you thought you wanted or you thought was so important actually turns out it wasn't. And it isn't in your higher alignment and it isn't for your best good. And so this is where, again, you can have gratitude for what you learned or the energy you experienced. And you can wish someone well. You can hope they have a good life. Be grateful for what you learned through the experience. And then also see how beautifully protected you were, how the universe was guiding you through the dark, how the universe was right there, almost like steering your shoulders in a direction that you didn't think you would go, but it turned out to be even better. So keep that in mind, especially as we move into Sagittarius season, where we understand from a higher perspective all the good that has been connecting with us, all the benevolent energies that are supporting you on your path that you might not see when you're in the depth of an energy or in the depth of an experience. And as Scorpio season closes out over this next week, not only is it important to recognize what in yourself has shifted and transformed, but to look at your own deeper imprints around the energy of trust. Because a lot of the Scorpio dynamics are unconscious, and it's where we have unconsciously absorbed various energies, patterns, understandings from what we observed in our relational experiences. And one thing that really stands out to me about the Scorpio imprints of trust is that it does go back to how you observed trust in action when you were younger. And were you around others who modeled healthy trust or who understood what it means to navigate others' emotions in a healthy way? And that's because Scorpio is a water sign and it's also a relational energy. It's how we relate to people in a very raw way, where we're very perhaps open with our emotions or quite secretive. Scorpio can be suspicious. Scorpio can be the observer who looks around to determine what's their angle, what do they want from me? Can I trust their motivations? Is there a hidden agenda here? And so where I'm going with this is that in our younger years, when we are unconscious and we're just learning about the world and people and relationships and everything going on, we are active observers of how those energies are modeled to us, especially through the partnerships that are in our immediate environment, which is commonly parents or family members. Perhaps there were other relationships that you observed or other dynamics that you saw. But this is about how you observed people emotionally interacting and whether or not that was healthy or unhealthy, whether there was healthy resolution to problems or anger or outbursts, or whether there was a lot of trauma or abuse or neglect. I mean, the full spectrum of energy here is the Scorpio playground. The full spectrum of emotional responses, interactions, and relationships exist in the Scorpio realms. And so what this brings up is basically our first imprints of how we learn to trust other people based on the environment we were in. And so when you look at the astrological wheel, Cancer is the first water sign, and that is about yourself, your own internal world, how you trust what you're feeling, how you understand what's going on inside of you. Scorpio is the second water sign that's about how those emotions then interact with others. This also includes your energies, your intuition, what's coming up for you that you wonder, do I share this with somebody? Are they safe? Are they safe? Then the third water sign of Pisces is how we connect with the divine, with the universe, how we trust the universal flow of energies that are beyond our perceived control. So when we're looking at Scorpio energies, we're looking also at emotional co-regulation, how people modeled what it meant to interact in a way that was honest and vulnerable, but was it truthful and real? Or were there a lot of secrets? Was it about someone always being in control and one-upmanship? Were there power dynamics at play? So when you go back and perhaps look at what was modeled to you through your parents or through any interactions in your immediate environment when you were younger, there's things there that imprinted on you, that you took in, that you didn't realize were good or bad. It's just how it was in your world. It's just how it was in your environment. And then this is also why Scorpio is the therapist, the counselor, the healer, the psychiatrist, where we take our experiences of other people's energies, feelings, and emotions to a safe place to discuss how it formed us, how it shaped us, and even how it shut us down, and how there could be parts of your experience that you're like, I learned it wasn't safe to say what I felt. Or I never received the love I needed because my parents weren't attentive. My parents weren't there. And of course, there's so many scenarios here that can show up, especially if you were raised by one parent or if you were adopted, or even if you had two parents, but it wasn't a healthy dynamic, and on the scenarios can go. But I just want to bring up that Scorpio is your unconscious first impressions of whether or not it's safe to be yourself in a very open, authentic way with others and how that feels. And if you had to develop your own control or power dynamics for safety, to feel in control, to feel like, okay, this is how I learned to interact with people so that I feel safe. I'm not going to be attacked. And I'm also not going to be manipulated. I'm not going to be lied to. And I also just want to see. I just want to see how they respond. I want to understand if they are trustworthy or not. And then this is where it can be surprising to see those patterns that show up in relationships or even in dynamics with others. So say a boss, a teacher, anyone that you interact with that actually is representing to you more about how you show up to those relationships with a sense of what feels safe for you. Another theme that can be quite strong with Scorpio energies is that you might see through the dark, through the thin veil of your intuition, the parts of yourself you haven't fully loved, embraced, or welcomed into your energy because maybe there was a part of you that was afraid of your own power if you did so. Scorpio is where we reclaim a truth about who we are, but it can feel very disconnected, pushed away. It could be the parts of yourself that you didn't know if you were quote unquote allowed or if you had permission to be this magnificent, to be this intuitive, this magical, this incredible, magnificent being because your power wasn't validated. And this does seep into self-worth. This does go into the areas of loving ourselves that maybe we thought we had to give up for someone else, or we had to sacrifice a part of what we need or what we want. And then that results in resentment or bitterness, anger, frustration, things that again can be lurking in the subconscious as well. So this is a season to fully call in and claim what strengthens you, what gives you a sense of deeper trust in yourself, in your power, in your abilities. This can also be something that actually is ready to be transformed through your financial energies, your financial power. Because the Scorpio experience can be where the energies get lost outside of yourself. And when you start to see the patterns, what's on repeat, what keeps coming up for you that you're meant to bust through or break through, but it's fearful. It's scary. You haven't been here before. And Scorpio can take you to that edge of your fears. It can take you to these places that you're just not sure if you can handle it, because a part of you senses intuitively what's on the other side, what's waiting for you, and that maybe there is a big bridge to cross, or maybe there's a deep evolutionary process to move through. This is where the Scorpio energy benefits through support from those that they trust and where you feel safe. So again, going back to energy work, a healer, a therapist, anyone you can go to discuss what's coming up for you, a trusted friend, a brother, a sister, a family member. They understand that you are made to be powerful in all ways. And so going back to the financial energy here, this can be tricky when you have a lot of debt or liabilities, or you get those credit card statements, or you're looking at your student loan balance. There can be financial energies in our life that feel big and overwhelming, and even continually push us into an overwhelm or a sense of, I don't know how I'm ever gonna bust through this. I don't know how I'm gonna ever move past this or change this around. I don't see the way forward. I don't see how this can shift or change. And then in realistic terms, you could look at some of those statements and look at your interest rate and what you have due, etc. This is where your energetic strength and power is in claiming that you are financially powerful before you see it manifest. This is where you trust that you're reprogramming these energies, and in fact, all of this is showing you where you can claim greater financial strength without having to know how, where, or when it's going to change around or show up differently. But when you're ready to claim your power, you start to give yourself new messages. You're doing your personal reprogramming. You're looking at where you have stress, anxiety, worry, and you're ready to step up into a new platform that allows you to claim your power first. And by initiating that change, it affects your frequency and your vibration. It also is a message that you need to have on repeat. So if you're really looking to change your relationship with money and finances, it starts by simply altering your perception of it and looking at what you've been unconsciously operating off of that you no longer want anymore. And that doesn't mean the problems go away immediately or that change happens overnight. And I know there can be a lot of messaging out there around how manifestation works. But what happens with the Scorpio energies is that you're really realizing that something is no longer working for you and you don't want it anymore. You're not going to tolerate it in yourself. So you level up and you declare to yourself and to the universe, I am financially powerful now. I am financially strong, wealthy, and prosperous now. And so you get going on all that. And what happens next? Something sinks your energy and something comes back and perhaps shows you a problem, a stress, or a worry. And this is where you can then make a new co-creative process with the universe through ongoing practice of your financial power and what you're declaring. And even though there can be things that come up that would sink your energy or take you off course or make you think this isn't working, I'm not seeing this show up, some things just take time to play out. They can take years. When you are reclaiming your financial power or any power in your life, it doesn't always show up right away. And this will depend on each person's journey, on each person's energy. But understand that if you're saying, no, I'm now financially powerful, then the universe is going to bring you ways to continually demonstrate that. And it will push you out of a comfort zone. It will challenge you to maintain a new understanding of your power. And it will ask you to take responsibility. Take responsibility for what you want to change, what you want to shift, what you no longer want to put your energy towards, while also continually declaring your financial strength and power. And I do think it's important to have messages, affirmations, things around you that reinforce this, especially as you're trusting it to land inside of you. Because when we're reprogramming a fear or something that feels powerless, it can take ongoing fortitude to allow that to really set in. You're changing your thought patterns. You're changing and opening up to how you can be supported, that you don't have to do it all on your own, or that whatever you are putting energy towards, that's also where your power lies. And I think this is an important topic because of how much financial energy there is on the planet, how much it can affect us, how much it determines our choices and abilities, and how it can feel like money or finances has control over you. So this is a changing up of the relationship with finances where you're elevating to a new perspective that connects to your innate abundance, your innate manifestation frequency, where when you turn that around, the universe meets you there. It meets you in that new energy frequency and validates it. And this could be a worthwhile practice over the next year. Let's say from Scorpio season to next Scorpio season, where you're going to make a promise to yourself to really affirm your financial power and that the universe is supporting you in all ways across all lifetimes, all timelines, all dimensions of time, and that you are here to really embody that level of financial power that could be something you're doing for the first time across multiple lifetimes. That's also key here, is that you could think, oh, well, I'm working on this in this lifetime, in this reality, but you could have some kind of energy leaks or connections, cords or hooks to other lifetimes of poverty, of sacrifice, of minimalism, where there were things that you always owed other people and you never felt you could get ahead. There could even be not only financial debts, but energetic or karmic debts that come up at this time that the universe is requiring you to take care of in order to advance, in order to power up to a new level of really understanding the strength of your energy. And going back to what I mentioned earlier about your first experiences of trust, of how others interacted around you, of how their energies were exchanged, and how that left certain imprints on you. This is where you could even have those imprints related to financial energy, where you're afraid of being wealthy or you're afraid of being prosperous. People have these fears, and can be even shame around it. Like, I don't want to flaunt it. I don't want people to think I'm better than them. I wouldn't want someone to then come to me and expect me to pay all their bills. I mean, this is a huge playground of energetic expressions here. And what the Scorpio energy wants you to dig into is what you're really believing is true for you that actually isn't determined outside of yourself. And this does pertain to how your parents handled money and how they viewed finances. And even the little phrases they would say or things they would mention that maybe you picked up on and that formed your worldview about wealth, abundance, financial strength, and power. So there's a lot here to dive into that could be eye-opening. I mean, it's even as simple as, are you afraid to check your bank balances? Are you afraid to log in to an account and to see how much money you have? Because that right there is a fear. And that fear is something you can powerfully transform by your willingness to look it straight in the face and to claim your power. So you can also see there's a lot of psychology here. There's a lot built into this energy. It's not just surface level. It's not just what you think it might be at first. Rather, that Scorpio energy is going to pull you into even more than you realized was there so that you can see what is operating within you. So with these strong Scorpio energies, we're going to have a big day on November 17th of really understanding what you want to let go of, what fear or limitation is ready to be released. We're going to have the Sun conjunct Mars in Scorpio at 24 degrees. And this is a transit that happens every 2 years, and it's a reset for that Mars energy. That Mars is now receiving the strength, light, and consciousness of the sun and getting powered up. It's often a new beginning point. This is where Mars begins a new marathon race, if you will, as it's feeling the strength of the sun. There's a new beginning underway of what you want to initiate, how you want to assert yourself, assert your power, assert your strength, what you want to change around because you know it's for your best and highest good. And this energy is trining Neptune retrograde in Pisces at 24 degrees on the same day. And this is the Neptune energy that lifts you out of the day-to-day, lifts you beyond the mundane to see a new understanding of the energetics at play. And you could feel something quite intuitive around this time period. Again, it's November 17th, but the energy will be in play November 16th, 17th, 18th, and it's revealing more that you can move towards. What do you want to move towards? You're feeling that energetic pull or push. You're feeling your energy rise up. This could be a powerful time to move through a fear or something that has been exhausting you. It's almost like we can get tired of our own crap at times, right? Tired of our own boundaries, tired of our own fears. It's like, why am I still feeling this? Or why is it still coming up? This is when you could bust through it and move to the other side, which feels like a renewal and also helps you work with the Neptunian in Pisces energies through the lens of ascension. And I do feel this as a transit of ascending. And Mars is related to masculine energy. It's related to our body, our sense of self, what we put energy towards to make things happen. It brings up our desires and our passions. And this is where you could feel yourself ascending above something that you've outgrown. This is certainly working with masculine energy to help open up more intuitive trust, to get out of the mind or the over-reliance on the physical, the over-reliance on anything related to the unhealthy ego or even the physical body. This is where that Neptune is streaming in to offer higher frequency opportunities to a masculine desire or goal. It's a beautiful time to set a goal, declare what you want, and connect that energy to universal support. There can also be new levels of awakening that come forth, and it comes in through your intuition. It arrives maybe through something you're sensing or feeling, and your mind is trying to understand it. Your mind is trying to compartmentalize it, rationalize it, look for the logic, and look for the how, right? How would this work? How is this going to happen? How do I make moves or get this going? And this is where that Neptune energy is going to show you the opening, but it might be a soft whisper. It might not be loud and in your face. It might be something almost like you wake up in the morning and you just have a recollection of an idea, a dream, a message, and you're not quite sure what it is. It's very faint and soft. And then later on in the day, it becomes clearer, or something reminds you exactly what it was. So this is a softer message at times that can be hard to grasp and hang on to, but the energy is directing you towards something, directing you down a path, steering you in a direction that's actually being led by your higher self. And then after this exact conjunction between the Sun and Mars and trining Neptune, both planets move forward to sextile Pluto in Capricorn at 28 degrees. So the Sun in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio sextile Pluto in Capricorn November 20th and 21st. And this is where there is a deep, powerful connection of energy that brings about certainty. Yes, I have to have it. Yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, this is what I want. It's strengthening, and it also is meant to bring you clarity. I feel like it's especially robust because of how the Sun in Scorpio is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. And here we have these energies lining up that could bring about a declaration. I'm going to go for it. I have to have it. I'm worth it. Yes to me. Yes to this. I'm ready for the change. I even feel like this is going to be something that shifts energetically in the collective, and it does depend on each person's frequency, but I feel like there could be something that even just melts away. It peels away. You've outgrown it. You've learned from it. You've shifted and transformed because of it. And that feels like the renewal. I'm seeing it as the renewal at a physical level, almost like exfoliating off skin. But I'm also seeing it as a renewal in the aura. Something is changing in the personal frequency field. Something is being elevated because you've completed it, you've outgrown it, you've transformed it. And this is where the last few days of Scorpio season could bring about something that feels like a relief, a reward, a validation, even a powerful affirmation of what you have transformed. So we have great energy over this next week to be very honest with yourself about where you've limited your power, where you have ultimately limited your experiences out of a fear, and you could have something effortless move you forward. Sort of like when you see a big problem, a big issue, and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to move past this. I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know. That could be exactly what you need to declare. I don't know. But then you ask for support from spirit. Then you ask for guidance from your higher self. Because when you're saying, I don't know, that's your human self saying, I don't know. That's your mind. That's your ego. That's parts of you that are limited in the bigger picture of understanding what is possible. But when you go higher, you can basically move through, move past, and move over anything when you're tapping into the higher perspective of the universe. So this is where, again, something I'm getting the image of being held captive, hostage, like paralyzed, a paralyzing fear, a paralyzing worry or stress, almost like you just freeze because you don't know what to do and it feels too big. This is a week when something can help you through that, almost like it comes through, holds your hand, guides you forward. You get to the other side and you're like, wow, that wasn't such a big deal after all. I was all worked up about something, or I was fearful, and that fear could be the anticipation of something. And also, we do have to recognize that fear wants to keep us safe. Fear wants to prevent you from getting hurt, from being rejected, from getting a boo-boo. Fear wants to help you through the lens of protection, but that's where it can also be limiting. And the energy of this week can lift you over something. I'm seeing it as a lifting over energy, almost like being carried or being softly elevated above a mud puddle, where you don't go into the mud puddle, rather you're gliding over it, gliding across it. You get to the other side and you're like, wow, I did that. I'm so proud of myself, and it isn't as scary as I thought. During the few days that the Sun in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio are both sextiling Pluto in Capricorn, we also have Mercury and Sagittarius trining Chiron retrograde in Aries at 16 degrees. And this is having the courage to speak your truth. This is having the willingness to say something that maybe you weren't sure you should say or not. Well, Mercury and Sagittarius will blurt it out, will say it. It might not be proper or polite, but it probably will be hilarious, or at least it will make a clear point. And as the energy trines Chiron, it strengthens what you've been holding back. So if there's something you've been holding back expressing, you've been working it through internally. How do I say the right thing? What should I say? How do I communicate this? Because you want it to come across in a way that is effective. This would be also a good week for that. And you could feel like you have the courage to do so. And there's also the element of not overthinking it, where just trust yourself to say what you need to say and understand how that could also open up discussions or other thoughts and ideas from someone else who's so glad you brought it up. Now, this can be in reverse, right? Where someone says something and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy you mentioned this. I really wanted to talk to you about this. This has been on my mind. I've been thinking it through and I wanted to catch you and talk about it or see what you thought. All of that is supported this week. There's a lot of good energy here for forward motion in multiple areas of your life. And then on November 22nd, the sun enters Sagittarius. This actually happens in the AM at 9:02 a.m. That's Eastern time. And with the sun entering Sagittarius, it will immediately square Saturn in Pisces at 0 degrees, which is a full stop. And let me gather my energy together. Let me sit with something. So the sun enters Sagittarius where it wants to grow and expand. It wants to do something big. It wants to move forward. But it gets this immediate stop sign from Saturn in Pisces. And that is helping you collect your energy. Bring it all in. Bring it all back. You aren't going to miss a thing by taking a break. Give yourself a pause. November 22nd is an important day to go slow, to not rush, to not overdo it. In fact, this energy feels more receptive, which isn't usually how the sun in Sagittarius operates. And so you could have this push-pull. Should I do it? Should I not? Should I go for it? No, you should hold back and just take a beat. Just take a beat. On November 22nd, we also have Venus in Libra opposing Chiron retrograde in Aries at 16 degrees on this same day. So that reasserts the intention of just give it a moment. Allow yourself time to catch up with things before launching into the next endeavor or idea. Saturn in Pisces has been hanging out at the 0 degree point for a while now, since stationing direct on November 4th. And this Saturn in Pisces feels like that pause to really be responsible with all your energy. And it feels like a checking in. And because this is in Pisces and the sun has just entered Sagittarius, these are both mutable signs, which means plans are going to change. Things are going to shift. What you had counted on or what you relied on, chances are it's not going to happen exactly how you envisioned or exactly how you wanted to. Now, applying this to the real world calendar, November 22nd is the day before the Thanksgiving holiday in the US. And this is where there will be delays. There will be changes in plans. This could certainly be weather related. These could be things that you had counted on doing. And then people are like, actually, we're not going to show up, or we decided to stay home, or we're just going to order pizza, or we don't know if we want to really go for it. So there could be things that are disappointing or even deflating. And one way to interpret this is that it could be easier. There could be something simpler happening, and the universe could be giving you a well-deserved break or making something less complicated that maybe is better even if you didn't choose it. So it's a great time to stay adaptable and flexible, to go with the flow, to not overinvest or overspend, especially with Venus in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries retrograde. So keep that in mind. November 22nd, there is a definite change in the energy, and I'll talk about that more in next Wednesday's show when we fully move into Sagittarius season, where being adaptable is the name of the game, especially with strong Sagittarius and Pisces energies this year. So overall, this is a week that the universe is supporting you in moving something forward, that you're ready to claim power. You want to do it differently. You want to break through. You don't want to be on the same loop or the same pattern. There's something that you're ready to see. And also you're ready to work with your own power in a new way that you're going to feel strongly. Now, as I'm saying all this, there is someone who comes to mind who can help with anything you want to bust through or break through, especially if it's a pattern or energy you've carried for lifetimes, especially if you're ready for more messages from your soul. And the person I'm thinking of, her name is Tracy Cumbera, and she is a multidimensional psychic. So she connects to your energy frequencies through multiple lifetimes and also through galactic energies. She can connect with your star family, your home planet. She can connect with your vibration, also as it relates to your mental body, your physical body, and each of your chakras. And this would be a wonderful time to get support as well for anything that you're wanting to deeply shift and also help you prepare for what's going on in 2024, whatever those themes, developments, and energies might be for you. So if you want guidance and support for that, if you want to connect with your soul, your spirit guides, your galactic team, your angels, I do recommend a session with Tracy. She is excellent and she's very personable and relatable. So her website is tracycumbera.com. That's KUMBERA.com. I will put the link below the podcast as well. I know that so many of you are seeking answers and wanting to understand what is important to know now, especially after eclipse season. So I just share her to help you with anything you might want to understand, as well as anything you're ready to really shift now. She's been fantastic for me, so that's why I recommend her, with the hopes that it also beautifully supports you. And if you want support with reprogramming your financial power, I do have an audio course that so many of you have loved called Mastering Abundance in Your Spiritual Business. It's not just for business, it's for your life, your energy. And we go through 11 essential points to look at and be aware of so that you can open up to abundance in all areas of your life. And it does require some deeper level reflections and responsibility. So that program is 50% off right now with code MANIFEST, and I'll put it below the podcast as well. This is a time to really power up, to really look at how you want to claim all of your energy and live from that new expression. So I hope those help you with anything you're ready to transform as we close out Scorpio season. I will be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode. As always, thank you so much for joining me. You can find all of my latest astrology programs and courses at mollymccord.online. And I will give you a heads up that you want to be on my email list right about now. You'll want to be on my email list because there is something you're going to have access to only through my email list, and that will be coming out soon. So thank you all for joining me, wishing you a beautiful journey through this last week of Scorpio season. And I look forward to connecting with you again through another podcast episode soon. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.